Ready? And 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Anthony Conklin, and this is the Anthony Conklin Show with my amazing co-host, Miss Vicki Fitch, where our goal is to help entrepreneurs find their why. On the show today, we are going to talk about reality. Not the reality that we're all used to, but the reality as an experience called virtual reality, or better known as VR. And in my eyes, and the eyes of many people in the online community, she's known as an evangelist in the world of VR. She's known throughout the live streaming world as the go-to person for VR. She is the queen of VR, host of the Real Virtual Show, and you can find her on iTunes. Welcome, Miss Malia Probst. Hello, Malia. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal with an intro like that.
You're virtually here. You're really, really here. Right,
Yes.
Vicki, she is here, right?
This is a hologram.
I think so. She looks pretty good to me. I think she's there.
Pretty awesome, actually.
Powered by AI.
Good stuff.
Coming to you.
Well, I can't tell you, I'm so excited to have you here. I know we've been working a little bit to try to get you in the schedule, and I'm glad that you were available today. So thank you for taking time. We're going to take you through the interview process and just kind of get right into it. So I am happy to have you here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask some questions, and then Vicki will interject as well. She just won't be there like this. She'll be actually asking questions because Vicki is she's a valuable, not a valuable commodity, she's a valuable person to the show. So I want to make sure she asks questions as well. So,
All right. Okay.
I think as they say in the children's book, let's begin at the beginning. So let's begin at the beginning. So for the simple-minded people like myself, please explain to me, what is VR? What is virtual reality? Please explain it.
Yeah. Okay. So virtual reality is when you are inside another world, when you're inside another reality. So even think about this. You said start simple, Anthony. Let's start simple. Let's think of the snowman inside the snow globe, right? So he's inside the snow globe. So kind of think of it like that. You're inside the world, and this isn't just a technology that is awesome for entertainment and video games, although those are really cool, and I'm really excited about those, and they're going to be a phenomenal driver of the adoption of this technology. But what is really exciting is the bigger picture of what mixed reality can kind of do, and different flavors and different styles and business applications and amazing things for humanity and healthcare and education and space travel. This is a technology that will eventually touch every industry, and you should pay attention to it.
Got it. So you say it's this is great. This is a great start. So when you say a world inside of a world, I think of those movies such as Brainstorm. I know some of you may not be old enough to remember the movie Brainstorm. It was a movie.
You know what? I haven't seen it. I know what it is, though.
You have to see it, okay?
All right.
It was a movie by Christopher Walken, thank you, 1982, where we actually went into another world. And if you get a chance to, I'm sure you can Netflix it or rent it or something. I don't know how you guys get movies nowadays, but you can find it. Vicki, do you remember the movie Brainstorm at all with Natalie Wood?
I'm writing it down right now. Brainstorm.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'll check and I'll let you know in a moment if it's on Netflix.
It's a fantastic movie. So the whole idea behind that movie, Malia, is you're able to record someone's brainwaves and then put on this thing, this helmet, right? So, and we're going to talk about the Oculus Rift because I definitely want to hear, because I keep hearing this thing, Oculus Rift, from the brick, and I want to know what that means. So back in 1982, you used to put this helmet on, and actually you'd press play, and it would be this multicolored looking ribbon that looked like a VHS expanded 8 inches, and it would play, and then you would actually experience someone's reality. So it's a little bit strange.
Okay.
So that was sort of the beginning of my view of virtual reality. And then you talked a little bit about where we are today in different technologies. Let's kind of fast forward to Lawnmower Man, which we all know. Some of us may have seen that.
Yeah, I rewatched The The other night. That was
The Matrix is
speaking of another dystopian view of
right. So, and The Matrix kind of took you into that world within a world, like you say. So, and then Interstellar and all these other movies, and Limitless, which is another type of virtual reality world. So, and now all that stuff sounds really exciting. But I want to bring something, and you knew I was going to throw a curveball at you. So I want to bring something to your attention. I read an article briefly. It was about Palmer Luckey. Is that the name? Is that
Sure.
He's the creator of?
It's a real person's name.
Palmer Luckey.
It's like, why is that actually on your birth certificate? Yeah. And it's not just like Lucky, it's Luckey.
EY, right.
Yeah, no, it's and yeah, no, I've checked. I've done that's his real name.
So he did an interview recently. I did my research, and he's the inventor of this Oculus Rift headset. And he said in an interview on March 28th that this whole VR business is going to be a little more boring than people think. And I don't know if you read that article, but I wanted to kind of throw that at you and get your thoughts on it, because people think of virtual reality as, okay, we're going to live in the Matrix and we're going to have alternate worlds and so on and so forth. But he's saying in his article, he said, we're going to bring people close. We're going to bring close people closer together. So why would he say it's going to be boring when everything I hear from you and your shows are just so exciting about VR? Maybe you can add some color to that.
I don't know which article that was. I don't think I've read that one, but I can take a stab at it. I can kind of extrapolate. So when we're hearing about virtual reality in the news, right, we're hearing about it a lot lately. South by Southwest happened. Everyone was buzzing about it. A lot of marketers, Gary Vaynerchuk is invested in virtual reality. Everyone out there, he has a fund called RSE/Vayner, I believe the name is called. But anyway, he invested in some interesting things recently. So FYI, guys, I know there are a lot of Gary V fans out there, and he is invested in this. So we're hearing a lot about it in the news, okay? And it sounds like it's for video gamers, right? It sounds like it's for people who are really, really serious about gaming, and it's entertaining and it's immersive and it's captivating, and we're inside this world, and it sounds sexy and sleek and kind of like nerdy at the same time because you're wearing a brick on your face.
Right. I was going to ask you about the brick on the face, because that's my next question, actually. So what is this brick thing on your face?
What is this brick you put on your face? In reality, though, so entertainment and games are a phenomenal wedge for awareness and for adoption of this technology. Mm-hmm. So first of all, we have to consider that less than 1% of Americans own a PC robust enough to be able to power these high-end virtual reality experiences, such as the Oculus Rift, such as the HTC Vive. Only less than 1%. That's crazy, and those are all serious gamers. So there's a reason why we're hearing a lot about games, because that's really where the first adoption is going to be.
Right.
But when he's talking about that, it kind of gets boring, like the real adoption actually gets boring. Yeah, there's so many industrial uses of this technology and so many boring logistics, time-saving, cost-saving solutions.
I say let's play Operation with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, you can totally play Operation. You can, I heard someone's working on Candyland. I would totally play Candyland. But to your point,
yes.
To your point,
I'm excited.
Surgeons, in terms of skills transference, anyone from surgeons to nurses to the actual patients themselves, this technology is being used to really illustrate to people what their condition could look like, what to look out for, to better train people. And so healthcare, to your point with, playing Operation, this is a way for surgeons to get more practice. And this is a way for medical students to not have to wait until their third year to operate on a cadaver, which is
what about those are like sort of life-changing stuff. What about we talked about Monopoly and Candyland, which is the fun stuff. I heard on, and I listened to one of your iTunes, by the way, great iTunes show, talk about military applications, so training pilots and so sort of taking like the simulation to like the next level. What can you tell me about the use in the military for virtual reality?
Sure. Yeah. A lot of people think that virtual reality is something new. It just happened, right? And this is actually technology that's been quietly bubbling away beneath the surface for years, decades, centuries. Plato was really the first person that was even talking about virtual worlds and alternate universe. Okay, so this goes back to like Plato and Aristotle. Right. And a lot of people would argue that the first flight simulation happened in the 1920s. And then the Sword of Damocles was the first virtual reality apparatus, and that was in the 1950s. This has been going on since the 60s in the military, prior to that as well. And this has kind of been the realm of military research and academia. Mm-hmm. And it kind of took the first stab at it with kind of a consumer release in the 90s, and the technology just wasn't there yet. Just wasn't quite there. So it didn't really take off.
So I want to focus on sort of the fun side, because I want to keep it fun, and fun. Everyone loves the tech side of it, but I want to talk about the fun application side of it. So Vicky, what are some of the things that you think virtual reality would be fun with, other than the game operation? Think about like something that would be fun that you would.
The game operation. I just really want to play operation.
I totally do. I want to get in there and play. I want to dig around in that
hear
stuff.
The buzz.
Right? No, I don't want to hear the buzz. I do not want to hear the buzz. I think even stuff like okay, so me, I love, as part of my workout routine, I don't think I've shared with you guys, I love Wii Fit Plus, right? I love the boxing. I love all that stuff, right? I can totally see getting in there and doing some, some more in-depth part, because it's a little sterile, it's a little sterile doing some of the stuff that you do, but getting in there, doing dance moves, I don't know. I just, I totally like to get my move on.
I love where your head's at. I love where your head's at with getting active and getting fit. And that's something that I think is a huge burgeoning industry. I think there's a lot of opportunity in that space, because when we bring in things like omnidirectional treadmills, so treadmills that you can run in all 360 degrees, and it's synced to the virtual world that you're in. Mm-hmm. I'm not really a gamer. I don't really enjoy video games, quite honestly. I've never really understood video games. But if I could get inside the video game and run around and jump around inside the video game, I am right there with you, Vicky. I would get my workout on virtually every day.
Mm-hmm. And what about a virtual pinball machine? Can you totally see there where you're running? We're trying to get away.
Tron. I'm thinking of Tron.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking of Tron.
Love Tron.
Right? It's so cool.
Tron is so good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, what about the real estate business? I'm hearing a little bit about the real estate business. So what are your thoughts on virtual reality and real estate business? And let's put the whole idea of Periscope aside and Blab, because everybody thinks, this is a quick video. Imagine you're shopping for a home, or you're shopping luxury home, or you're building a home. Where can virtual reality be like a fun addition to maybe somebody who's selling real estate or a real estate developer? I mean, what are some of the applications VR would have there?
I mean, I don't know how fun it is, but perhaps this kind of relates to Palmer Lucky's point about things kind of being boring. This is a real sales tool for people. This is a very, very real, very, very actionable sales tool. Totally. And whether you are a consumer who's bought a house, who here has gone house shopping? Okay. What does it take? It takes every single weekend for 6 months, right? Yeah. You spend every freaking Saturday, every single freaking Sunday, driving around looking at houses.
And if it's cross country or across the world, you don't even have that option. So you get stuck, or you go out, 4 months in advance. You pick something that might not, is on the market, and you might settle because you don't have the opportunity to go back. So I think you're right on point.
Yeah. I mean, just as a home buyer, think of how much time it would save you to go to your realtor's office, zip through 15 virtual tours in an hour, and then the next weekend go visit your top 3 in person. So even from a home buyer's perspective, I think it's a huge incentive. I would so much rather do that than drive around in a car all day. And even if we're talking about urban areas like Los Angeles, forget about it.
Yep.
Forget about it. You're done. But from a realtor's perspective as well, that's a very, very valuable sales tool. And so obviously that's the sales side of things. But even as we're going at the very beginning to the architecture, and we're talking about turning regular 2-dimensional blueprints and specs that go back and forth and take so long, right? Well, what if our architect can communicate with each other in 3D, in virtual environments?
Even if they could come up with the plans and you could walk through, because as a neat freak like me, to be able to go, wait, that's too far, that's too high. No, I need that dropped, oh no, I need that closer, that whole kind of thing. It's just really...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Vicky, you could decide, it's a lot cheaper, Vicky, to, decide you wanted 3 windows when it's just pixels that you have to move around, as opposed to when you decided you wanted 3 windows when they're already bricks made, bricks laid, walls made. Yeah, you can customize everything.
Absolutely.
I like the idea of travel. I want to talk about travel for a minute. So, and by the way, welcome to everyone to the Anthony Conklin Show with my co-host Vicky Fitch. We're talking about virtual reality with our VR evangelist, Miss Malia Probst in the house. So make sure you guys share it out, tweet it out, share it out, let people know we're here. We're going to talk about the real reality, which is going to be will be your real reality, which is virtual reality. So we'll talk about travel for a second. You know, we all thought Google Maps and Street Views were the coolest thing on the planet. You get a 360 picture. What about virtual reality and travel? Let's say I want to go see the Great Wall of China. Let's say I want to go to the top of Everest. Let's say I want to go to the Great Barrier Reef. I want to experience it. I mean, how far are we away from that, Malia? So let's look at the technology. How far are we really away from stuff like experiencing that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're there right now. I can show you some 360 videos of faraway lands and beautiful places and tropical spaces, and something as global and as well known as Club Med just released a series of 360-degree virtual tours of their resorts. And so that's another example, not necessarily real estate, but when we're talking travel and hospitality and where these things all kind of combine, Club Med isn't on it, you know, and if Club Med is in, you know it's going. Club Med is not known as the most progressive.
Yeah, I was going to say,
It's not.
they could use an appointment with me at Club Med so we can just kind of spice them right back up. So,
So Mitch Jackson in the and thanks Mitch for joining. Really appreciate you being here, brother. So Mitch Jackson in the comments was talking about the movie Total Recall. I'm sorry, I actually skipped over that movie. Actually, it was the movie you wish you never saw, but then if you didn't see it, you'd be jealous you didn't see it. It's one of those weird things. So,
did you see it or didn't see it? I'm confused.
Actually, I really did see it, and true confession here, truth talk here. I own the DVD, so it's just goes to tell you. So did you see the movie Total Recall, Malia? Did you see that?
I think
movie?
I have the VHS.
wait. Did you wait? Wait. Is my mic work? My head? Did you say VHS?
I think I have the VHS. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, Granny. Thanks, Granny. No, and I'm older. It's funny, VHS.
Okay. Oh, I had VHSs. I love a good VHS.
Thank you, Malia. Thank you.
Go get me a VHS. It's funny because I have a VHS player right here in my office.
Those things last.
Guys. They do. No, they do. So Total Recall, great movie. Thanks for bringing it up. And that's just another version of virtual reality. But I think the thing with VR that I'm noticing is it's got a lot of sizzle to it, and rightfully so, because people think of all different types of applications to it, and people want to see the meat. Right, they want to see the meat behind the sizzle, and it seems like we're getting there. I want to jump into the money side for a second. I want to talk about, because I always talk about monetization. So where are we? Can you talk about numbers? What companies are doing? I know that you said that Gary Vaynerchuk's invested in VR. Probably some good questions to ask him directly when we get a chance to interview him. How companies?
You should ask him about it. Ask him about. The company's called Visionary VR, and they're based here in Los Angeles. And they're part of the guys that did VRLA as well, which is one of the world's biggest virtual reality expos. And they raised $6 million in the last couple of weeks. And they're a content production studio. They're making virtual reality content, and they also have proprietary virtual reality building tools, like native building tools. So that's why they got so much money. And Gary Vaynerchuk is someone who recognized that and wanted to invest in it. So where were we? The meat behind the sizzle?
Yeah. So
the meat behind the sizzle?
Yeah, the meat. Yeah. I want the sizzle and the meat together. So sizzle's great because sizzle's the marketing side, right? But the meat is sort of the product itself or the delivery. I think of like the Oculus Rift as being that, okay, that's the meat behind it. Where is the beef, as the Wendy would say? Where is the beef? What's next?
Yeah. So, we're hearing a lot about virtual reality, okay? And that's because, again, we're going to see the early adopters being in entertainment and video games. So that's why we're hearing so much about that, because that's the content being made, because that's where the market is, that's where the eyeballs are. And depending on which analyst report you read, this industry is going to be worth anywhere from, $15 billion in 2018 to $120 billion in 2018. And so I think the moral of the story is, even if it's only $5 billion, you should probably pay attention to it.
Right.
So we're seeing a lot about virtual reality and entertainment because that's the wedge, right? But really what this is about is mixed reality. It's about augmented reality. That's really where the business use cases I see coming in. And when we're talking about the brick on the face, when you're actually having, you're blocking off all of your senses, not all your senses, but you're blocking out all your vision, right?
Right.
You're in a world by yourself with a brick strapped on your face.
I think we're all in a world by ourselves most of the time.
Oh, that's so true. The depressing adage, like we're born alone, we're all going to die alone. Thank you.
Oh, no. Let's turn the page on that one.
With that being said, when we maintain contact with the real world and we just start overlaying pixels and digital images and data and information over our real world perspective, a la the Microsoft HoloLens. And that's kind of an example of augmented reality when we're adding data and we're adding input to our natural lives. And so we'd be sitting here, if we were in the same room, Vicki, Anthony, sitting here looking at each other, and we could have whatever data we want just pushed to us right over our eyes. And so whether, and this is the thing, in a decade, in a decade, we're not really going to have screens. Like, we'll have televisions, but televisions, like the old school square televisions, that's a television, we'll have them, but it'll be what landlines are today.
Right.
Landlines are around, but hey, we're all walking around with $1 million worth of 1980s technology in our pocket right now.
Absolutely.
So over the next decade, we're going to see an enormous sea change, an enormous shift in how we consume content.
So on that note, awesome. Thank you so much, Malia, for that. We're going to take some questions from the side, and Vicki, I'm going to let you take over the questions, and we'll take some additional questions from the chat box. We'll open up the seat for a few more minutes, and then we'll go from there. So, Vicki,
why don't you answer that question, and I'll open the box up. What's holding major brands from getting into VR? And then we'll open up the seat where people can actually pop in.
Sure. Yeah. So there are a lot of major brands getting into it, and they're definitely dipping their toe in the waters. The reason why this isn't full force, everyone embracing this 110%, is because they don't really know how. Mm-hmm. They know that this is awesome. Mm-hmm. They know that this is a very, very powerful sales tool because you're inside the world. You're right there, maintaining eye contact with whatever it is, and that's the thing. It's Mitch Jackson. Should we buy VR now? You can get VR right now. You should get VR right now. What a lot of branded content is taking advantage of is where the eyeballs are right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, which is the smartphone market. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when Dr. Good Vibes, was it Dr. Good Vibes? Mm-hmm. Asking about why major brands are not getting in this full force. They are. They're slowly but surely getting there. Even old kind of dinosaurs like Mattel are getting into this, and even old standbys like the AP, yes, the Associated Press.
Yes,
these are major brands, exactly. And major companies, and so they're all kind of trying to figure it out. And some are doing it really well and innovating and pushing. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how's it going, Malia?
I like Good Vibes better, but that's all right.
I added a Z on the end of it.
That's all right.
Well, so what we're saying, Dr. Bob, give me just one moment, please. I want to add to what Malia said. So what you're saying is major brands are getting into it. It's just it's a slow adoption. It's sort of that early adopter syndrome, I call it.
Well, let me give you an example of a major brand, and this is just kind of from the social media perspective. This is even taking headsets into account. This is actually just taking Facebook into account, because we now can consume 360 spherical video on Facebook as well as YouTube. You can kind of click and drag around. Have you guys seen those spherical videos in Facebook and YouTube? Mm-hmm. To give you a specific example, the movie Superman versus Batman, that came out a couple weeks ago, and they released a 360 video on Facebook. They released it on Friday, and I wanted to keep an eye on it. I wanted to see what the numbers look like. And within 12 hours, that thing had almost 800,000 likes. I mean, it was like, and Disney put up a 360 video. Their engagement is nuts, and brands are seeing enormous engagement from 360 content. And let's keep in mind that Facebook, they bought Oculus. They have a very vested very vested interest in this technology and making it succeed, right? So what does Facebook always do whenever it releases anything new? What did it do when Facebook Live came out? What did it do when video came out? They adjust the algorithms to favor what they want to favor.
True.
So Facebook wants you to use 360 video, so the algorithms are actually favoring it. So brands are not only seeing huge engagement because it's cool content and it's different and everyone's thirsty for something different, but the actual machine is supporting it.
Right. And and I think what you're saying too, Malia, and thank you for adding color to that, is customers, vendors. I use it to customers because everybody's a customer in per se. They want a user experience, and the virtual reality world gives them that user experience, whether it be in the travel industry, whether it be in the medical field, the fun field. I mean, we didn't touch on it. I don't want to talk. I don't want to go on. I want to jump to questions. The adult entertainment field. I mean, there's so many applications of virtual reality, but we're running short on time, and I want to give an opportunity to some of the folks in the chat to ask some questions. So we have Dr. Vibe Show in the house. Dr. Vibe, how are you, my friend? Happy to see you in the square. If you have a question for Miss Malia Probst, please ask.
And I'll make it quick. But first of all, I saw two wonderful people, Vicky and Anthony, on Blab, so I had to jump in and show my support. So it's always great to share with both you and Malia. You rock the house, lady. You rock the house.
You brought the good vibes, Doctor.
Boom, Malia, way to go, girl.
I like it.
Bring them, keep bringing them.
I'll make it very quick. In regards to VR, obviously Gen Y, Gen X will get in it easily. Do you see a challenge for baby boomers to get hooked into VR?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Yeah, definitely.
And how do you think, if you were sitting in Facebook right now, what would you say to Mark Zuckerberg on the best way to get the baby boomers into the world of VR?
I love that. Well, I can do you one about baby boomers. I want to take it a step after that.
Absolutely.
So they're doing exactly what they're doing, which is making 360 content available and making 360 video available and favored. All the baby boomers are on Facebook, right? So that's the platform of choice for, 1.5, 1.6 billion people around the world. That's the platform of choice. So they're already kind of going after that market and making it approachable and making it accessible and kind of taking baby steps. And kind of going past baby boomers, kind of going going even older. They're even for the elderly and people who are retired and in nursing homes. And this technology is actually being used to pre-screen for something called for precursors to like Alzheimer's, to be able to actually detect that earlier. And it's called mild cognitive impairment. And so it actually tests for MCI, which is a red flag for Alzheimer's. And then also in nursing homes and people that are infirm or they can't leave. This is an amazing distraction tactic. And I read this amazing article that just like totally touched my heart about this guy in a nursing home. It was in England. They're doing some interesting stuff over there with nursing homes and this technology. And he was really on it. He had been suffering from Alzheimer's from a long time and was really, really on of it. And they put him in just a Google Cardboard. And this is a $20 piece of cardboard that you slide a smartphone in, right? And they put him in that, put him on some headphones, and they played him his favorite music from when he was 20 or whatever age. And this is a man that hadn't interacted with people in years, and all of a sudden started grooving and moving to the music. And he came back, and he came back, and he came back alive. You know, and he had that amazing emotional connection. And that's what this technology can do. It can actually create memories and then bring back memories in such vivid ways. So with baby boomers, Facebook is already kind of doing it in baby steps. And then this is actually being used in a lot of different ways for the older generation as well.
And so for those of you listening on the audio side of the house, I want to let you know that Malia was dancing in her chair. Just want to let you know.
Yes, I was.
Dr. Bai, thank you for jumping in the square. Appreciate it. We're going to take one more question, and then we're going to wind it down. So anybody else wants to jump in the chat box, please do. Once again, this is the Anthony Conklin Show with my co-host, Miss Vicky Fitch. We're interviewing the Malia. That's the Malia. Malia Probst. She is our VR queen, VR evangelist, and she's everything about VR. So we're going to see if we have any more questions. If not, I'm going to get to the heart of the interview. And it's all about the why. So Malia, you and just so for those, just to give some backstory, Malia is responsible for me coming on Blab. So anything I've done wrong on Blab, it's her fault because she got me here. So she got me from another live streaming.
No responsibility.
Yeah, no responsibility at all.
Well, maybe I have a bone to pick with you then, Malia, because you didn't train him before he got on, and we had some words on his first time on Blab.
You have an attorney in the room who we can refer to. My attorney told me to invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Advice of counsel today. Thanks, I appreciate that. Thanks for my side. Daddy's supposed to be on my side.
Right. That's fine.
It's all great. So I wanted to I want to thank everybody for joining us here on the show today. But before we end, I'm going to ask Malia the question, the big why. So why VR? Why is this? Like, what's your why? What's so great about it? I mean, there's so many different technologies. There's live streaming. There's all kinds of great stuff. Why VR? Why did you kind of plant your foot on, the VR pedal? Why for you personally?
Oh man, I don't know if you're ready for the response here, Anthony. But so my ears perked up when Facebook bought Oculus for $2 billion in the spring of 2014, right? And I was like, wait a second, if Facebook is spending $2 billion on this, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pay attention. And I got really excited about the entertainment applications and the storytelling applications. And then I found out about all the practical business solutions, and I got even more excited. And then I found out about the therapeutic uses and the potential for this as a therapeutic modality. And at USC, right here in Los Angeles, there's a lot of research going on about how this is being used to treat veterans suffering from PTSD and traumatic brain injuries and people with phobias and mental disorders, and even something as non-severe as fear of speaking in public. And so my partner is someone who has gone through a lot of health issues. In 2009, so that was 6.5 years ago, she was assaulted. And she was just walking down the street in Sunset Boulevard. It was a hate crime. A random man came up to her and the woman that she was with. She was on a date. He came up and grabbed the woman that she was with so hard, and picked her up and dumped her on the sidewalk. And my partner turned to the guy and said, what just happened? And he turned to her and called her a I'm going to refrain from saying the language in front of Vicky here because I'm going to be respectful. He basically called her an effing dyke. And punched her in the face. Wow. And shattered her face. Oof. And she had to undergo 10 facial reconstructive surgeries to just kind of put her face back together. And they never caught the guy. It's still unsolved to this day. And she was instantly knocked out. They went to the ER, and they had to wait 5 months for the swelling to go down enough to even operate. So 10 facial reconstructive surgeries. And from that assault and from that incident, she has PTSD, and she also had a traumatic brain injury. And you can't tell, she looks normal. She looks completely normal. But the traumatic brain injury kind of sneaks up in interesting ways, and it can wreak havoc on some things. And so when I was watching someone go through exposure therapy for 18 months, and doing talk therapy, like recording an audio of her recounting the incident, having to listen to that over and over and over 10 times a day for like 2 months or something. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. So when I'm seeing someone go through such a struggle and through so much work through traditional therapy, I can't help but say all of this therapeutic use that we have research on, and that's happening in universities, and that's happening, it needs to get out, and it needs to be able to be with people everywhere. And this needs to be, and not even just cognitive therapy or neural therapy, but actually physical therapy as well. And this is a technology that is so powerful and can contribute so much to humanity.
So you're thank you for sharing that story. Very, very powerful. I think
you're echoing way bad, I think.
But it's not me.
Let me see. I don't know. Is it Malia? I don't think it's me because I don't have a speaker.
All right. Malia, am I okay? Okay, I'm not echoing anymore.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Testing.
The audio side. So thank you for sharing that very powerful and personal story. I mean, I'm grateful that you were able to share that story. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I'm sorry your partner had to go through that. What I heard, Malia, just get to is your love for someone and your care to make a difference. That's really what I'm hearing. So if I ask you your why again tomorrow about this, I'm going to remember the story, and you'll say, well, it's because I want to make a difference. I want to make a ding in the universe, it sounds like, and you're doing it through VR based on your experience. And that's probably the best why that anybody can ever have. Some people, I ask people why. It's, well, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to make money. I want to build a business. I want to, be omnipresent. But you want to do something that really is deeply personal. And
virtual reality is a tool.
As a tool, right? But
it's a tool. This isn't the answer to everything.
No.
This is a tool. This is a medium.
Right.
And I think it can be used in incredibly powerful ways.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. My why is to help, and my why is to kind of raise that kind of collective consciousness. And it doesn't matter what tool you use. And then this particular story is a story about the why. So when you're kind of talking about motivation, I think that really, really just kind of sums it up, Anthony.
That's awesome. Malia Probst, everybody, here on the Anthony Conklin Show. I'm glad you guys had a chance to hop in and listen and ask some questions. Very grateful that you were able to schedule the time. I'm here with my host, Ms. Vicky Fitch. Vicky, did you have any closing thoughts or things that you wanted to add before we wrap up this amazing interview?
The only thing I think of when she was talking about Facebook buying Oculus is that Facebook has some plans to use it and to engage in a big way. And so I think people should be watching VR as not just something that's on the horizon, but something that's here, that they're entrenched in figuring out how to, blend those platforms, because they are. That, Zuckerberg and the crew there is looking to monetize in a way that's bigger than we've ever seen. He wants to expand they do. They do. And so we got to watch that and continue to keep track of what's going on. And it doesn't mean things can't slip in. Like you were talking about Gary Vee and how he has, he's bought into VR. Well, he also bought into Meerkat, right? And, and then, he's on Periscope now. So it doesn't mean it's a sure thing. It means that the technology, that the vision is clear, right, and people should pay attention. It doesn't mean they necessarily want to, invest per se. But yeah, so I'm excited about it. I think if we look 5-10 years out on the road, we are going to be like, we're going to be looking at some really interesting stuff coming down.
We're going to be the Jetsons.
Yeah, we are.
we'll be the real life Jetsons. So.
I am not George, and I am not dealing with you.
I always love the Jetsons. Jetsons was always great. That was a good one.
George is kind of a...
I'm not going to be Jane. And I won't be the robot. I won't be any of those.
George was kind of boring.
George kind of boring, so... Hey guys, listen, we're going to wrap up the interview. I'm so excited that you guys had a chance to sit in on the interview today. Again, this is the Anthony Conklin Show with my co-host, Ms. Vicky Fitch. We had a great interview with Ms. Malia Probst. Malia, before we end our broadcast, I want you to tell everybody, where can they find you? Where can they find out more about VR? Where can they watch you? Where can they listen to you? Tell us how omnipresent you are.
I you know what? In an hour and 15 minutes, actually, you can find me live here on this very same platform. 5:00 tonight, that's 5:00 Pacific and 8:00 Eastern. In fact, every Tuesday night at that same time, we interview leaders and revolutionaries and amazing, incredible pioneers in the virtual and augmented reality spaces. And then you can find our podcast. We take the audio from that, release it as a podcast. You can find that anywhere you like podcasts, but you can just search Real Virtual Show on iTunes, and you can go visit us, join us live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern at realvirtualshow.com/live. And I dropped the link to the iTunes over there.
Thank you so much, Malia. Guys, thank you so much. This has been the Anthony Conklin Show, where the goal of our show is to interview leaders and icons in the industry. We help entrepreneurs and like-minded individuals find their why. And we do that by connecting their passion and their purpose. And I'm so glad that you've given me 45 minutes of your time. My name is Anthony Conklin. You can find me at anthonyjconklin.com. I'm here on Periscope. I'm literally everywhere at Anthony J. Conklin. I'm on Blab. Here at Blab every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Stay tuned for more interviews. And I'd like to end every broadcast by saying I want you to look in the mirror tonight before you go to bed and before you wake up tomorrow. Or when you ever look in the mirror, say you have greatness within you. Live it every day. Live your life to the max. I'll see you guys next time on the Anthony Conklin Show. I love you guys. We are out.